Welcome back to the Deep Dive. And look, if you are tuning in today hoping for some uh, calm, quiet breakdown of the weekend's
Yeah.
action,
Yeah.
honestly, you might want to adjust your volume. Or maybe find a different show for the next 20 minutes because we are absolutely buzzing.
We are.
We promise that sports radio vibe for this season. And frankly, after what we all just saw in week one, I don't think there's any other way to do it. I mean, where do we even begin?
Right. Predictions were just shattered.
Shattered. Narratives completely rewritten. The script we thought we were reading was basically lit on fire.
It really was one of those weekends. You wake up, you check the box scores, and you legitimately think, is that a typo? Like,
Oh,
is
yeah.
the app broken?
Exactly.
The gap between what all the models said would happen and what actually happened on the field was just, it was massive. We didn't just see wins, we saw statement beatdowns.
Total beatdowns. It changes the entire landscape of the season, like immediately.
It does.
Okay, so here's the mission for today's deep dive. We've got a massive stack of notes here, stats, articles, reports, and we're going to break this down. First, we have to dissect the chaos of week one,
We have to.
specifically those statement wins from Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and LSU. We need to figure out how they did it. Then we pivot straight to week two.
Because the schedule makers have zero mercy.
None. We've got redemption games, we've got wounded giants. We need to figure out if these losers can bounce back or if this is, a free fall.
Now, we can't forget the long game. We're also going to shine a spotlight on the FBN Top 100, see who's waving in the wings. The recruiting trail tells you everything about where these programs are headed.
That's right. The future never sleeps. But first, let's unpack the wreckage of week one. And we have to start at the top, the big one. Number 1, Virginia Tech. At number 9, Ole Miss.
The marquee matchup.
Exactly. On paper, this is supposed to be a heavyweight fight. All the prediction model, Vegas, everyone had this as a nail-biter. VT winning, maybe 31-27.
Right, a field goal game. That's the standard expectation for a top 10 clash. You expect it to be tight, a battle for field position, the whole thing.
Instead, it was a crime scene. Virginia Tech 38, Ole Miss 6. 6. I mean, talk about sending a message. This wasn't just a win. It was an embarrassment for the home team. The Ole Miss sideline just like shell shock.
It was total domination. And what's fascinating to me is the efficiency of that Virginia Tech offense. You look at the stats, and it's almost surgical.
It really is.
Kenyon Tam, who we all know is elite, threw for 305 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it wasn't just him playing hero ball. It was the whole system. The connection he has with his playmakers made it look easy.
Oh, absolutely. And we have to talk about Teddy March. Because when your receiver is putting up numbers like that against the top-tier SEC defense, it just changes everything.
173 receiving yards and 2 scores.
Yeah.
That's a career day against anyone, and he did it against a top 10 team. And here's the tactical nightmare Mautic creates for a defense.
Well-
He's a vertical threat. He stretches the field. So the safeties, they have to back up. They have to respect that deep ball.
And just when Ole Miss is thinking, okay, fine, let's drop everyone back to stop March, then you get hit with the sledgehammer.
And that's Jabari Eberle. That balance is what makes you the number 1 team. Because the safeties are terrified of March.
Okay.
The box is light. Eberle sees that and goes for 111 yards on the ground, punches in 2 touchdowns.
So what do you do? If you're the defensive coordinator, what can you possibly do?
It's a pick your poison scenario where both poisons are lethal.
And we haven't even touched on the other side of the ball. You hold a team like Ole Miss, a team with real talent, to 6 points.
That's the part that should really scare everyone else. Ole Miss has a quarterback in Kevin McCarry who can play. But Virginia Tech's defense they suffocated him.
Completely.
3 sacks doesn't sound like a world record, but the pressure was constant. They moved him off his spot on almost every single drop back to hold a top 10 team to 0 touchdowns.
That's championship-level defense.
It is. It says, we can beat you in a shootout or we can beat you in a rock fight.
It really feels like they looked at all the preseason hype and just said, watch this. But here's where it gets even crazier.
Yeah.
Because as impressive as VT was, what happened down in Atlanta might be even more shocking.
Oh,
We're talking number 2 Georgia Tech versus number 10 Alabama.
The miracle in Atlanta, if you want to be nice about it. The massacre in Atlanta feels a little more accurate, though.
I think so, too.
Eh?
Again, let's set the stage. The prediction was a respectable 34-24 Georgia Tech win, 10-point game, reasonable.
Totally reasonable.
The reality, Georgia Tech 56, Alabama 20, 56 points, hung on the Crimson Tide. When's the last time you saw an Alabama defense get shredded like that?
It's almost hard to process. Alabama's entire brand is built on defense. They just don't give up 50 burgers. But we have to talk about the catalyst. We have to talk about Cam Bullock.
The freshman. The poise on this kid.
A freshman quarterback on that stage against that program. Usually, even the great freshmen look a little wide-eyed against Bama. They speed up. They make mistakes.
Right.
Bullock comes out, throws for 297 yards, 4 touchdowns, and completes 80% of his passes. 80%. That's not normal. That's processing speed you don't usually see until a guy is a junior.
Incredible. And he wasn't doing it by himself. I want to highlight a guy I'm calling the human highlight reel, KJ Tiffin.
Oh, man.
I was reading his stat line and I had to read it twice. 268 all-purpose yards. But listen to how he got them.
Okay.
A rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and then, just for fun, he runs the opening kickoff back 96 yards for a score. That's a hat trick.
It's the definition of a force multiplier. When you have a player who can score from literally anywhere on the field, special teams, backfield, split out wide, it creates this anxiety for the other team that you just can't game plan for.
You can't.
And I think that anxiety is what led to the avalanche we saw in the fourth quarter.
The avalanche. That's a perfect name for it. Because it was competitive for a little bit, wasn't it? And then the dam just broke.
Georgia Tech dropped 28 points in the fourth quarter alone.
12.
4 touchdowns in 15 minutes. At that point, Alabama mentally checked out. And it wasn't just the offense. The defense got in on it, too.
Isaiah Boss was everywhere, 8 tackles and a sack. But the secondary. Max Streeter and Josh Joe both had pick sixes.
That's what I mean by the avalanche. When your defense is scoring points, the game's over. Those are morale killers. It just buries the opponent. For Alabama to give up 56 points, that's an identity crisis.
It has to be.
But for Georgia Tech with a freshman QB like Bullock, this signals that they aren't just a contender. They are a terror.
Terrifying is the right word. And, it almost overshadows another blowout, which is crazy to say. But we have to go to Baton Rouge, LSU versus USC.
Another game where the prediction was close, LSU by about 7, and the result was a total laugher. LSU 49, USC 10.
49-10.
Yeah.
USC is supposed to be this high-flying powerhouse, and they just got run off the field. It looked like men against boys in the trenches.
LSU just looked so much more physical, more prepared. You had Silva dissecting them with his arm, and then Presley with that explosive ground game. It was a perfectly balanced attack.
It was.
But for me, it's the defensive performance led by Nagy and Clemens. They completely stifled USC.
Totally. USC could never find a rhythm.
Never. And in college football, especially with the concepts USC likes to run, rhythm is everything. If you can't string 2 first downs together because Nagy is in your backfield, you panic. And USC, they looked panicked.
They had no answers at all. And now LSU gets a bye week, which just seems unfair. They get to rest up after a 39-point win and then prepare for Arizona State, which, by the way, is their coach's former team.
It's the perfect spot to be in. Get the huge win, take a week off to heal, and then prep for a grudge match.
Before we jump to the Week 2 preview, we should touch on one other game. Not a top 10 matchup, but some interesting stuff. Indiana at Notre Dame.
Right. This was a big get-right game for Notre Dame. Remember, they lost in Week 0 to Clemson. The sky was falling in South Bend. They needed this one.
And they got it, 38-21. But man, Indiana. Morris Winter had such a rough day. I almost felt bad for him.
3 interceptions and 4 sacks. You just can't win football games like that. You can't. It buried them. But for Notre Dame, seeing Devin Coleman get 104 total yards, that's a good sign. They stabilized the ship.
They stopped the bleeding, at least.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the chaos of Week 1. Now we have to look forward. Because if you thought Week 1 was wild, Week 2 is shaping up to be a huge moment for some of these teams.
It's redemption or ruin week, especially for the teams that just got blown out.
Let's start with the big one. We just talked about VT crushing Ole Miss. We just talked about Alabama giving up 56. Well, guess who plays each other in Week 2?
Oh, boy.
Number 1, Virginia Tech versus number 18, Alabama.
This is an absolute nightmare scenario for Alabama. I mean, think about it. Their defense just collapsed. Now, 7 days later, they have to face Kenyon Tam and Teddy Mochek. The psychological toll of that last game has to be heavy. You're asking a defense with shattered confidence to stop the hottest offense in the country.
The whole narrative is just, can they recover, or are they just walking straight into a buzzsaw?
I am just looking at the data, and I'm asking how they stopped this attack. We just saw Tam throw for 300 yards like it was nothing. We saw Bama's secondary get torched by a freshman. Now they face a seasoned vet. The math does not look good.
The model agrees with you. It's calling for another VT blowout, 42-24.
And honestly, 42 points feels about right for this VT offense against a reeling defense. Unless Alabama completely reinvents their scheme in 1 week, which is impossible, they are in for a long day.
Okay, next up. Number 2, Georgia Tech versus number 17, USC. This one is interesting. Two teams with such different week ones.
A fascinating contrast in momentum, right? You have Cam Bullock, the freshman phenom, trying to prove week 1 wasn't a fluke. He's got all the confidence in the world.
Right.
Then you have USC, just desperate to find some rhythm. They need to prove they even belong in the top 25.
So can they bounce back? Or is the GT offense just too much?
I think this one's a shootout. I see it being closer than the Bama game. USC has talent, and they're going to play angry. But the prediction is Georgia Tech winning 38-34.
Wow, 38-34. That sounds like a fun one to watch.
It does. But again, the edge goes to Georgia Tech. Even in a shootout, the model trusts GT's defense to make that one key stop, maybe another one of those pick sixes, more than it trusts USC right now.
Okay, so the rich get richer at the top. Now let's look at a battle of the beaten. Ole Miss versus Indiana.
The Sadness Bowl. Both teams are just licking their wounds. Ole Miss got embarrassed. Indiana got handled. Someone has to win, right?
You would hope so. Who's got the edge here?
It has to be Ole Miss. Even though they only scored 6 against VT, the talent is there. Kevin McCarry is way better than he showed. Against an Indiana team that turned it over 3 times last week, I expect Ole Miss to capitalize.
The prediction is Ole Miss taking it 27-17. Seems like a classic get-right game for them.
Exactly. Stabilize, get a win, and just forget week 1 ever happened.
So we've got the games to watch. But you know we love to look beyond the scoreboard. We want to know who is coming next. Let's do our FBN Top 100 Spotlight.
This is always my favorite part. Seeing how these programs are building for the future tells you so much about their identity.
Okay, let's start with Georgia Tech. They just dropped 56 points, and now we see they're the front runner for the number 13 player, Javier Gossett, a running back.
This kid is scary. 5'10", 214 pounds. The scouting report describes him as downhill fury.
Downhill fury. I love that. It paints such a picture.
It means he runs angry. He finishes runs with violence. He's not looking to get out of bounds. He's looking to run through you.
Okay.
Now imagine pairing that bruising style with the explosive speed of KJ Tiffin, who we just saw take a kickoff to the house.
It's thunder and lightning.
Exactly. If Georgia Tech lands Gossett, that backfield is a nightmare for the next 3 years. How do you tackle a bowling ball after chasing a blur for 3 quarters? You don't.
Okay, now USC. They just gave up 49 points, couldn't move the ball. They need help in the trenches. And it looks like help might be on the way. They lead for your 7-3. Number 15, Garrison Cherry.
And Cherry is a sweet name for a guy who is 6'7", 312 pounds.
Whoa, that's a large human being.
He's a tackle from Portland. They call it blindside dominance. And the key here is the footwork. Scouts say it's already NFL ready. We saw USC's QB running for his life. You need to build a wall. A guy like Cherry is step 1.
You can't run a scheme if you can't block. Simple as that.
Right.
Now, Virginia Tech. They have Kenyon Tam right now, but who's next? They're leading for the number 18 player, Hashim Ogbonna.
The heir apparent. A quarterback from Florida, 6'5", 215.
Another big body.
Huge. And he's got a cannon arm. But it's not just arm strength. The records his elite vision. That's the part you can't teach.
No.
If VT goes from Tam straight to Ogbonna, that's how you build a dynasty. The window stays open forever.
It really is the rich getting richer. Just a couple quick hits before we wrap. Who else stood out?
I like Nick Fries, a linebacker out of North Carolina. Duke is the leader there. He's number 32.
Tackling machine.
Yeah, sideline to sideline. And then there's Jacoby Broussard, the defensive tackle Ole Miss is targeting.
Interior chaos.
6'4", 298 pounds. He just eats double teams. We saw Ole Miss get run over by Eberle, right? Why, they got pushed around inside. A guy like Broussard plugs those gaps. He is exactly what they're missing.
It really highlights how recruiting fills the gaps you see on Saturday. You see the weakness. Then you look at the recruiting list and say, there's the fix.
It's the cycle of college football. Identify the problem, recruit the solution.
So let's wrap this up. What does it all mean? Week 1 was about offensive explosions. VT, Georgia Tech, LSU. And it was also about defensive collapses from teams we normally trust, like Alabama.
And week 2 is all about mental toughness.
Yeah.
Can you recover from a 56-point beating? Can you sustain the hype? That psychology is going to determine everything this weekend.
It is going to be fascinating. Do you have a final thought for everyone to chew on before kickoff?
I do, and it connects everything we've talked about. We saw GT and VT put up these huge numbers. We see them recruiting cannon arm QBs and downhill running backs. So the question is this.
Okay.
Are we seeing a fundamental shift where elite defense just isn't enough anymore? Does defense wins championships still hold true, or have we reached a point where you simply have to score 50 to survive?
Oh, that is a heavy question. If you can't stop them, you better outscore them.
Exactly. That seems to be the new law of the land.
Well, keep that in mind as you watch the scoreboards laid up this weekend. Watch for the upsets, watch for the bounce backs, and enjoy the chaos.
It's only going to get crazier from here.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you on the other side of Week 2.